It is 6 o'clock. It is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. This is the City of Franklin Board of Public Works. The first order of business is roll call. Myself, Chairman Charles Porter is here. Alderman Yusuf Hassan is here. David Woznicki.
Here.
Clark Johnson.
Here.
Ken Skowronski.
Here.
Missing tonight is Jim Witt and Ernie Tim are both absent this evening. Also present is Glenn Beardsley. Did I get that right? Water Department. Mike Paulos, City Engineer. Kevin Schleter, Highway Superintendent. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. All right, next order of business is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, the next item is the reading and approval of the minutes from the August 12th, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept as printed.
Okay, we've got a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Clark Johnson made the motion, seconded by David Woznicki. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the motion? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, the next item we have is public comment period. It is currently 6:02. Is there anybody here who would like to speak? Would you please step up to the mic and state your name, address for the record, and what you would like to discuss with us. I believe it's on. I think I heard it. Tap it again. No, maybe not.
Should be on. Test.
Ms. Judy Mills. I live at 8018 West Winston Way in Franklin. I'm right behind the area that across from the development across from the rock that you're that's planned, etc. And I live. My property butts up to the wetland, and I'm here because. A while back, there was a lot of mitigating work done on my property and another homeowner's property because of water problems. And I went to the engineering department and asked for all the records of that work. They were gone for quite a while looking, came back and said there was no documentation of any of the work that was done on my property or on, I'm going to refer to Fritz's property. This is on Winston Way. And that bothered me terribly because my property butts up to that wetland. And the city put in one sewer to catch water, and that partially worked, but didn't completely work. So they came in again and put a sewer into the wetland right behind my home to catch more water. And that only worked as long as there was no, because of if you drive up Rawson, you know that if you're going from east to west, you're going uphill. So on our properties, water is running downhill. So it picks up a lot of debris by the time it gets to my yard. So, excuse me. So in order to make these sewers work, I have to keep that area behind my property, part of the wetland that abuts my property, cleared out so that water can actually get to these sewers, because that's what's keeping these homes on Winston Way in my area dry. And there's no record of any of this work being done, at least when I went to, it wasn't that long ago, when I went to engineering to get paperwork on all of this. And I'm just going to say it, I think when Olson did a lot of shady things, and I think when he was voted out of office, he and his cronies destroyed documentation. And as a result, you're operating blind in a lot of these areas, because if they did it to me, and not just me, Fritz's house, the homes on either side of me, there's no documentation in any of them. So if that has been wiped out, they've certainly done it in other areas of the city. So as you make plans to do things, you're doing it blindly, not knowing the history of some of these areas. And so I'm here because keeping water off of our properties is a big thing, and that wetland is key to that. And I'm one of just two people that have been here from the beginning and know the history. Most of the other homes have been sold, and there are new owners, young people that don't care until something actually affects them. So I need you to be aware of that as you deal with developments. And I've had to come here multiple times, where there's a developer who comes in and he's going to turn the wetland into a park, or they're going to put jungle gyms up there and whatnot. That wetland is key to the property values on Winston Way. And so if you're doing development on the other side that would affect the wetland, that could come back to really hurt us. And so I just needed you to be aware of that as you make decisions on building things and what's going to go where. I'd also like to ask, and I'm going to do this at the Common Council meeting. I talk with my hands.
Excuse me, we're obviously having a problem with the sound system. Could you repeat your name and address, please?
Sure, it's Judy Mills, Mills,
Okay.
8018 West Winston Way, Franklin.
8018, right?
Yes.
Okay. We didn't mean to interrupt you. I mean, go ahead with what you were going to say.
What was I?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, but I'm concerned because when I went to get documentation, as I said, there was nothing in my file. There was nothing in the other files, because I asked for the homes adjoining mine, etc., and there was nothing in any of their files. And there should have been huge amounts of documentation on all of these properties, and the importance of that wetland keeping all of our properties dry.
Right.
So I just need you to be aware of that as you decide to build things.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
How long ago was this subdivision or this area put in? I mean, 10 years, 20 years?
The subdivision goes, I've lived there over 40 years, and the subdivision was already there when I bought my lot. My lot was one of the last lots in there, in my area on Winston Way. But the, excuse me, the work that I think nobody cared until they started having water as they developed more of these lots and put in more things around us. There wasn't the old places that water had to run into. And so that's when they came in and put the first sewer in my backyard. And then that one wasn't doing the trick, and so they ran a sewer into the wetland to catch the water sooner and divert it into the sewer system.
Okay.
So, and there's no record of that, and there's nothing in my file, and there's nothing in the
Do you
property.
remember how many years ago that work was performed?
Oh, I'm not good at that. Leroy has a Leroy remembers everything. He might be able to give you a better.
Well, I'm just trying to ascertain if it was in the last 10 years or the last 30 years. You know, I mean, if they did.
Oh no, it was. I would say it was in the last 10, maybe a little longer than that years, because we had to have flooding, and go to the city and say there's a problem here, and the city engineer was out at Fritz's house, a couple homes down, all the time, trying to keep water out of his backyard. And
Well, I'm going to ask a quick question. What would you like from us? Do you want us to have somebody look into the thing, or are you just bringing this to our attention as a take note?
I'm bringing it to your attention because right now, that wetland is keeping us dry. It works like a charm. When we had the 100-year rain flood, I watched like a hawk. I had the floodlights on in the backyard, and that wetland was able to absorb the massive amounts of water that came down, and the way the land is pitched to get the water to go into the sewers. And again, none of us had flooding problems in that area. My fear is that if the wetland is disturbed in some way and can't act as a sponge, we're going to have homes that butt up to that wetland on my end, on Winston Way, that are having water problems all the time because there's nothing to absorb that water, and we're downhill of everything that's coming from the west to the east. So when developers come in and say, we're going to make that a park, or we're going to take part of the wetlands so we have a bigger footprint for our building, that will have a huge impact.
Negative impact on your water.
Yeah.
I understand.
Not just my house, but
Others, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I don't know enough about the engineering or the inner workings of how some of that goes on, but I'm pretty certain that wetlands are normally preserved for that exact reason. And we were very lucky at this last rain event a month ago that it wasn't worse than it was.
Oh, definitely. But that wetland is what saved. I mean, every single time we've had some kind of rain or big snow melt or whatnot, that wetland is miraculous in keeping all of us dry. And if a developer comes in and decides they're going to cut into the wetland on, let's say, across from the rock, they need a little more land, and they're going to cut into the wetland so they have a bigger square foot for their building.
I understand your concern. I'm going to ask the city engineer a question. You know regulations better than clearly I ever do on this. Is her concern a valid concern as far as somebody coming in and disturbing a designated wetland?
Good. No, wetlands are protected, so typically in development, wetlands are pretty much a no-touch zone. You can film with a permit, but if it's a important wetland, high-quality wetland for stormwater use, it can't be filled.
Okay.
It won't be filled.
Right. So, I mean, what I'm trying to say is we hear your concern, and we understand your concern, and I think, I'm not saying it isn't important to you, but I don't think that wetland is going to be infringed on because exactly what the city engineer said, how important it is for that type of business, you know?
I couldn't hear what he said.
Well, he said wetlands are preserved. They're on the map. They're very clearly identified, and they just don't go in and say, well, we're going to fill this up because we want a larger footprint for a playground. They'll work around it, and I'm pretty confident that's the case. Am I not mistaken? Wetlands don't get messed with.
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand your concern, but I don't think you have anything to fear as far as them going in and messing with the wetland, trying to make it smaller to build a bigger something or other. You know?
So the wetland is safe and kind of untouchable, so to speak.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and you're welcome to come on my property anytime and see my two sewers and, you know, how the land lays. And, I mean, I've even removed stumps and things back there so water can flow and get to these sewers.
No, we
So-
understand. And you know, just so you understand, some of the rain events that we've had here recently are rain events that nobody could plan for. So, I mean, if we all of a sudden get nailed like northern side of Milwaukee did or some of the other areas around here, I don't care how big your wetland is, it's not going to save some of the areas. They're going to get nailed, and there's unfortunately not very much we can do about it. But we can plan, and I know we do plan for normal events. You know, what's considered been normal for the last however many years we've been planning, and try to do our best to make sure that the landowners and the residents of the city are protected from that type of stuff. So I think that's, at this time, the best we can probably do, and it's the best reassurance I can give you is that you're, you know, and I understand your problem too as far as debris getting into the drains. That we have no control over. I mean, that's pretty much up to the policing of the people who live in the community, you know.
Can I also ask, because this is a common complaint I hear from taxpayers over the years, is that we seem to be blindsided by developments that we know nothing about, and all of a sudden there's a developer that's come in and he's going to build whatever, and we seem to be the last to know about what's being planned. Other communities, like I'm familiar with New Berlin, and when there's going to be a development, they put up a big sign on that area to let the taxpayers know, and they send out notices and whatnot that this acreage is planned for apartment complexes or whatever they're planning it for. And then they leave a phone number for City Hall
Okay.
so that taxpayers, if they have a problem with that development, before a developer gets really invested in something, City Hall
I'm not
finds
trying to cut you off, but you're way past what our normal limit is for the public comment period.
Yep.
And I understand your concerns, and I assure you we'll do our best to make sure that anybody who's impacted by any type of a development would try to be contacted. And I know we do that in the city. If there's something going on and it's going to impact some of the area homeowners, landowners, we do try to put a comment period. There's one coming up right now for Putes Road where they're putting a sidewalk in. So, I mean, there is that going on, you know, but
other communities seem to do a better job of informing their taxpayers ahead of time. So if people don't like it or not, New Berlin's taxpayers are very active in saying no, we don't want this, and the development stops or whatnot. And
your
so,
point's taken. I understand what you're saying.
so it seems like we're blindsided. We're the last people to hear about something, and by the time we hear about it, it's too late because everything is said and done, and we should be the first people to hear
I'm
about
going to
it.
interrupt you. I understand what you're saying, and I'm sorry you feel that way. And I know that the city of Franklin does their best to try to inform people and residents as best they can about any types of developments that could potentially impact them.
And there's quite a long process, you know, between zoning and planning and public hearings, you know, and the developer submitting their plans and the public hearing to comments. So Franklin does a pretty fine job, and maybe they've just skipped over you, or you know, you haven't seen it in the Franklin newspaper or whatever. But I'll tell you what, I'll take your name and your number, and I will talk with the city clerk and make sure that she's aware of your interest and have them make sure that they contact you specifically.
And I'm not the only one.
Well,
Well, we understand, but I'm sorry to cut. We can't keep going like this all night. All right, you made your point.
This is not just a me problem.
I understand.
I mean, people get mad because all of a sudden in their area something's going up and they didn't know.
I completely understand. I'm not trying to dismiss your concern. I mean, we've taken and listened to you for 15, 20 minutes here already. And I appreciate, your concern enough to come in here and talk to us about it. And, Clark said he's got your name and address, and we will look into it and see what we can do and see if we can do any follow-up.
Pardon?
What kind of feedback are you looking for? The wetland will not be touched. It's protected wetland.
We might not know that it's a protected wetland.
Well, if it's a wetland, all right,
We might not know that it's zoned and planned as a wetland. We don't know that.
okay.
We're young.
Fair enough. But it's easy enough to look at the map,
Right.
the planning map, and see it's very clearly designated on the map. We're gonna have to end this. All right? Thank you for bringing your concerns forward. I'm sorry that we haven't completely satisfied your concern, but we'll do our best to do a quick follow-up. I mean, Clark Johnson said he would
I'll follow up.
We'll follow up and go a little bit
And I will
further
get back with you.
And I'm clearly not trying to dismiss your concern. I'm just trying to keep the meeting moving along. And
Can
we
I
can,
get your phone number? 2939. Give me till the end of the week. My name is Clark Johnson. Yes, ma'am.
and if I'm available, I'll come with them. So, I mean, we're clearly not trying to dismiss you.
Is that a date?
Huh?
Is that a date?
If you want to call it that. All right.
You gonna play the beer?
I will.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to move the meeting along, and I understand what you're saying. We could go over this for the next 20 minutes and not get any further with it.
Because
So,
we have a lot.
yeah, we got a huge paper agenda here tonight. So, and we understand your concern. I know it's everybody else in the area, right?
We'll get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, I don't believe there's anybody else for the public comment period. I'm going to close the public comment period at 6:22 and move on to the next issue we have is quickly the Jim Bartnecki Memorial. And I'm thinking Ken might have something to share with us.
Yeah, just more, I don't have anything to show you, just more information. I communicated with the family, and I will reach out to Kevin as to what they're thinking is basically a commercially bought bench
Okay,
and a plaque,
all right.
but I don't have it with me.
And is there any
'Cause
good feeling as to where you'd like, or where they would like to have it located?
behind engineering.
Hmm?
Behind engineering.
Behind engineering, okay. Very good. All right, is there any other discussion or questions about item A? Hearing none, we'll move on to item B, discussion of 51st Street crossover from Quick Trip to Sendix. Where are we at with that?
So that was Board Member Witt that brought that to our attention. So I requested the info from the PD to see what the record is for that location.
Mhm.
So for the last 5 years, there's been a total of 4 accidents there, 2 in 2022, and 1 in '24, and 1 in '25. So I talked just a short bit with city engineer. We just don't feel it justifies going more in depth on it at this time. Mike, do you have?
I mean, so you, as Kevin mentioned, 4 accidents, 5 years isn't really necessitate in-depth study for, that's a very low accident rate actually for that area. So I would not recommend moving that forward.
Okay. Okay, hearing the report, does anybody have any other questions that they would like to ask? Is this a motion issue? Do we have to take a motion on this, or just information only?
Information.
Yeah.
All right, information only. Thank you for the information. At this time, we'll just leave it the way it is, and people will have to be a little more careful when they drive. All right, that's the end of the unfinished business. New business. 5A, emergency authorization to contract for replacement pump at St. Martin's Lift Station in lieu of the public bid process. Now, this is a duplicate of what we did back in April, I think. I think it was April 8th comes to mind, I think. Special meeting that we had. And I was looking it over, and the pump appears to be a copy or carbon copy twin to the one that we approved back then. And I believe we've got some information that you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, basically. Glenn Beardsley, Superintendent, City of Franklin Sewer and Water Utility, 5550 West Stairways. Basically, yeah, we're in the same. So the pump you did approve in April is not here yet. So that kind of tells you the lead time. We're looking at 30 to 40 weeks. Just to go back over, there's only 2 pumps in this lift station. It's our highest volume lift station and still growing in that basin. So we've realized second pump is showing signs of wear and fatigue. So we would like to get the second one ordered, seeing that the lead time is 30 to 40 weeks. So our thoughts are we will probably look at the one pump we do pull as soon as we get the new one, which they told me today is probably looking at October, mid-October, hopefully. They're produced in Germany. So, and then we'll look at the one we pull and maybe rehab it to replace the other one that's going, just so we know what we have in that one until, because they're not identical. The old pumps and new pumps are not identical, so we can't just swap them, you know.
So they're not interchangeable like a sump pump in your basement?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, the 2 that are there now match each other.
Right.
They're interchangeable, but the one we're getting and the ones that are there are not interchangeable. We have to redo some piping. Just, they're 22 years old with 30,000 hours on them. So it's where we're at.
Okay.
So
Do we have to, with the replacement pumps, is that going to require any control upgrade? Can you use
not
existing controls?
not with this, but as part of 2026 budget, I've requested motor control upgrade and addition of a third pump. So we hopefully always have 2 pumps there at any given time. It's built for 4, and the new control panel will be built for 4
Okay.
if that's approved by council.
And is there a possibility that one of the old pumps could be refurbished and used as a backup pump in that capacity, or would you be looking at purchasing a third new pump?
Eventually, I'd say we would just have 4 of the new style pumps.
Eventually for the new style.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be happy getting 3 for now.
Well, let's get a second.
Well, let's get the first one we ordered in April. That'd make me feel a little bit better just having that one. And with the rain event we had, both pumps were running at the same time for 8-9 hours straight. They were both running, and then even after that, it was, you know, they were shutting off, but they were basically just like your sump pump at home.
Yeah.
It filled just as fast as it pumped it down, but at least they were getting the switch between the 2.
All right. Okay. I asked a bunch of questions, but does anybody else have any questions they would like to ask? No? Do we need to read in its entirety the resolution with all the whereases and wherefores and all the other stuff? Or is the fact that it's in hard copy and everybody can look at it for themselves, is that enough for the record?
I would
Okay.
I would just read the first 2 sentences, the resolution declaring.
So whereas the city of Franklin routinely lets all contracts for public construction exceeding $25,000 in accordance with Wisconsin statute, I don't know what all that stuff is, 62.15 and 66.0901, and whereas the St. Martin's lift station is located at 11575 West Forstham Avenue, and
I don't-
serves,
You don't have to read the whole. I was just referring to
The two, right under where it says the resolution there.
Oh.
Just them, them two sentences
All right.
will.
A resolution declaring a public emergency related to the replacement of a pump at the St. Martin's lift station. Resolution number. what
That'll
is
be decided.
Oh, that's
They
to be
write that
decided.
in after
All right.
it's approved.
it? Good enough. Well, then, do we have a motion
I'll
to?
make the motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion from
I'll second
Alder,
it.
and we have a second. I don't think there's any further discussion. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The opposed? No opposed? The ayes have it. Apparently, it's going to require some signatures. We can take care of that at the end of the meeting.
Just yours, so if you can get that to Kevin.
Sure, we'll take care of it.
So, thank you, guys.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for your information. Okay. The next one we have is 5B, is emergency authorization to contract for necessary repairs to Pleasant View Reserve in lieu of the public bid process. Who's got the information on this? City engineer?
I do. So this is a subdivision, Pleasant View Reserve, as you mentioned. It's a subdivision broken into 3 phases. And we're at the point where we met the developer back on July 17th of this year to walk the subdivision, mark out curb and gutter needs to be replaced, driveways need to be replaced, the pavement itself needs to be replaced. There's been some disagreements as what needs to be done with the developer and the engineering team. Developer's been non-responsive. However, we did have a meeting today with the developer. We're going to meet out there again next week, Thursday, to walk it again. This is to have in place just in case we can't come to an agreement. Kevin's in agreement too. We're anxious to get this paved this fall yet. The binder's going to be 3 to 4 years old. We feel it cannot withstand another winter. So we really want to get this work done on the surface course place this fall yet. I still like to have this approved. We're in negotiations, as I mentioned, but I like to have this in my back pocket in case the developer's not come through in a timely fashion. We can move ahead and pivot and get this work done as a city project and then draw on the developer's bond to pay for it.
So we've looked at all legal resolutions on this? Has it gone that far, or are we just
Well,
trying to hold them?
there's no legal resolution. You have a developer's agreement with the developer in the city, and if things go a little sideways, you draw on their bond to get the work done.
So you would pull on his bond?
Correct.
And is there sufficient funds in the bond to
There-
fix the problem?
There is over $1 million.
Oh, okay.
So again, we're still in negotiations. Again, we met this afternoon. Hopefully things go well and they come through and perform their work in a timely fashion. If not, this is Plan B.
Okay. Yeah, because I drove through there today, and that's how many years old is that? That's 5, 6 years old?
I think less than that, only 3 to 4, Kevin?
3 or 4?
Some part is 4 and some are 3.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I had a few minutes and wanted to take a ride and just wanted to see what it was we were talking about.
You notice all the paint markings?
Hmm?
You notice all the paint markings on the
Some of
curb
them,
and the...
I was mainly watching for kids.
Yeah.
There was-
So it's a fairly lengthy punch list
It is.
they've attached. Some significant costs to it, I would assume.
Like I was looking, what's a chimney ring? What's that referring to? Something for the storm sewer?
For sanitary sewer, right now there's only the binder courses on there. When they put the surface course on it, add a ring to get it to the proper final
okay.
elevation on the structures.
You'd know it if you saw it.
All right. Well, it's not,
If he doesn't come through, Mike, then obviously some of this at the time of the season we're in, it'd be hard to get a contractor. Is the city gonna do some of the work and get reimbursed for?
We would quickly pivot, put together a quick bid package, and instead of doing a public bid, which takes weeks, we'd probably invite 2 or 3 contractors to put a number together. So let the contractor hopefully move swiftly to get this done yet this fall.
Because we're looking like 45 to 60 days before we're in trouble, right?
Typically, asphalt plants close around Thanksgiving, so we like to get this done
Right.
before then.
Yeah. Well, that's coming up quick.
That's why this is on here, like in case things don't go well, we have a plan B.
I mean, my wife's already planning Christmas.
So is
so-
Menards.
Halloween anyhow.
Yeah. Hobby Lobby doesn't do Halloween, but anyway.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so we're doing.
Well, because of that reason, I'm trying to avoid the typical bid process. We have to advertise a couple weeks. You know, it takes weeks to get that done. This will, move things along more efficiently to get this project done. That's why we're declaring an emergency to get this, constructed yet this fall if needed, if the city's going to take this on. Hopefully, a developer comes through. It's not an issue, but just in case.
Well, but the developer still has to meet all of our requirements.
Correct.
So he's likely to use some of the same contractors that we would probably use. Is that not correct?
We'll inspect it. Correct.
Okay. Well,
That's it in a nutshell.
all right. Thank you for your presentation. Does anybody have any questions? I'm fairly ignorant on this one, so I really don't have a whole lot because I don't know that much about this type of stuff.
If you have a chance, I'd suggest taking a drive and checking it out. It's in not great condition.
I did
unfortunately.
drive through and I noticed, the unevenness of the pavement and, and stuff like that. And it is,
The curb in particular is bad, especially through people's driveway approaches.
mm,
Where they saw cut the curb head off is in pretty rough shape.
how are the landowners also on board? Are they complaining, going back to this developer and saying, "Get your act together"?
That I don't know.
Okay. 'Cause, I mean, I'm sure they have some, although I guess enough people complain, you pretty much don't listen after a while, All right, well, we're gonna need to have a motion to move this forward. Would anybody like to offer a motion?
Make sure you read in the same on the resolution. Make sure you
Oh, on the resolution?
for the record.
Yep, top of the page.
Okay. I'll read that right now. State of Wisconsin, City of Franklin, Milwaukee County, Resolution Number 2025 to be determined. A resolution declares a public emergency relating to the repairs of Pleasant View Reserve. We have a lot of information along with this resolution, including the punch list with all the required repairs that need to be done. And again, it's hopefully it's just to get this in place so that in case something goes wrong, we can act on it before the weather gets too bad. And hopefully the developer comes through and does what they're supposed to do. So I think that's what we've got.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? The motion was by Alderman Hassan. Second by Clark Johnson. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing no discussion. All those in favor of accepting this, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. And thank you for the clear information, and I hope we don't have to exercise this.
Agreed.
All right. Item number 6 is future agenda items. Is there anything that we need to bring to the board for future agenda items that we're aware of? Or we want written into the record for future agenda items? No more pumps or anything?
So we're good with that for a while. No, I've got nothing.
And there's no equipment pending or any, we're pretty much done with?
Yeah, budget stuff is pretty much all done.
Okay, well then, we'll schedule for the next meeting is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. I need a motion for adjournment. I remember this time.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
David made the motion. It was seconded by Alderman Hassan. And all those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Everybody's aye on that one, and thank you very much. We are closed at 6:40 p.m. Thank you.